Welcome back to Oceans Live at Chow. I'm Matt Dozier with NOAA's Office of National Marine Sanctuaries, Kate Thompson's co-host for Oceans Live. On our afternoon broadcast today, we'll be looking at some of the highlights from last night's Capitol Hill Ocean Week Leadership Awards Dinner, hosted by the National Marine Sanctuary Foundation for the 11th year in a row. After that, I'll be talking to Mike McCartney, President and CEO of the Hawaii Tourism Authority, about balancing the economy with the environment and sharing messages of hope around the world. Last night at the Leadership Awards Dinner, it was a great event. We had some big awards that were given out. Jane Lubchenco took home the Lifetime Achievement Award. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse was awarded with the Leadership Award by the foundation. And then we had Paul Petrich, Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary's Volunteer of the Year. So now we have a video that we're going to show you with some interviews done by Kate Thompson and our Oceans Live crew, live from last night's Leadership Awards Dinner.
What is the importance of the Leadership Awards Dinner and Capitol Hill Ocean Week?
Well, I think the importance of Chow is that bringing ocean issues to Congress, to Capitol Hill, to the Washingtonians is very important.
When we created this event a dozen years ago, it was really to spark a dialogue that would then be part of the drumbeat, that would keep that conversation going throughout the year.
We get to see what sort of topics are making headlines and what everyone's talking about, and we can weigh into the conversations and sort of add value.
The oceans very obviously can't speak for themselves, so those who love the oceans, care about them, and understand the distress that they're experiencing right now need to speak for them.
I think it's a great way really to create awareness to how important the oceans are to who we are, to our economy, and to what we can be.
And this is the way we connect with the Hill here in Washington and get people excited about getting in the fight for the ocean. And I say fight because that's what it is now. We're fighting for the survival of this planet, for the ocean, and for the survival of the agencies that are here.
What do National Marine Sanctuaries mean to you?
The best hope for conserving our ocean.
It means so much for me. You know, I have 2 young kids, and I want them to be able to one day to eat some wild seafood and to have clean oceans.
We need these special places, and I think it's the biggest hope we have for saving our oceans is to preserve, protect, and promote our waters. And I think if people are more educated and really understand the needs of our waters and our oceans and what's really going on, that they will do whatever they can, because we need to save our oceans now. We're at critical mass.
National Marine Sanctuaries are part of our best hope to improve the health of the oceans.
Any time we spend on the ocean is changing. So if you haven't been to any place of these National Marine Sanctuaries or any ocean environment, I urge you to spend time there and to help support them, because it's
don't kill the nest that we live in, and the oceans are so much a part of it. And the sanctuary is our kind of cathedral of saying, come, we want to show it to you, we want to interpret for you.
What sanctuary is about, they're special places. And what we try to do is share those special places, not just with the communities that we're in, but with the rest of the country.
What can you personally do to help protect the ocean?
Well, what people can do is be involved, is to know that, for example, there are sanctuaries there and support them and be out there and be part of it. So don't just sit at home and watch TV. Get out and do something. And one of the best places to do something is at our national sanctuaries.
We need to teach the children how important the oceans are to save our planet.
I think the main thing everybody can do is that they need to be cognizant of what they do on land, because it all runs to the ocean. So at your house with your fertilizer, with your trash, those things all have an impact on the ocean, even if you live 20, 50 miles away.
We can all pitch in, whether it's a reef cleanup or surveys. We can all help choose what needs to go into sanctuaries and just help clean up in general.
I think it's just being conscientious every day that we live in the big blue, and that is a responsibility we have. It's the great quote about there are no passengers on Spaceship Earth, we're all crew. And so we need to honor that, and we need to take care of the big blue because it takes care of us.
Now joining me is Mike McCartney, President and CEO of the Hawaii Tourism Authority. So, Mike, welcome to the show.
Aloha.
Good to
Thanks for
you
having
here.
me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. For starters, I'd like you to tell me a little bit about what your organization does. What does a tourism authority do?
The Hawaii Tourism Authority provides strategic oversight for Hawaii, the Hawaiian Islands, its brand, basically our people, place, and culture. So we're the state agency that oversees tourism.
Great. And you were just on this panel about job creation, coastal tourism, and I noticed that this idea of balance was a recurring theme throughout the discussions. So in Hawaii, where ocean tourism and recreation is such a major industry, how do you balance the desire for a strong economy and a healthy environment?
I think fundamentally we go back to basic values that were given to us by our kupuna, our teachers from the native Hawaiian community. And those values come from there. So I think having strong values, it's in our DNA. So when you talk about balance, it really are the things that we know in life, in a family or a community. You share, take only what you need, leave the fish for the next generation, don't take too much fish, don't pick too much seaweed, and respect the ocean. Like growing up, I was always thought that don't turn your back to it. You know, it's powerful, it's precious, but you also have to respect it. So those are basic values that I think we all, whether you're native Hawaiian or you grew up there or you just moved there a year ago, you learn that quickly living in an island community because we're surrounded by water.
Sure, sure. So you want to respect the environment, but also be able to make use of it in a way that supports life, that supports jobs in the
right. So if you look at Waikiki, we call it our modern day fish pond. Back in ancient Hawaii, they had fish ponds that they grew fish, and the fish fed the community along with the taro that they grew up in the mountains. And the mountains and the ocean were connected to each other, and it was a system. In Waikiki, we're very fortunate that people come to experience Hawaii's people, place, and culture. And in Waikiki, it's the one place in the world you can have a great dinner. You can see a great show, watch somebody dance hula, listen to Hawaiian music. Next morning, get up, go surfing, sit on the beach, go ride a canoe or Hobie cat, and enjoy the ocean. And so it's a special place, Mamala Bay. And so we've all been taught, from Duke Kahanamoku's days to even a beach boy now like George Downing, teaching us that you got to take care of it. You got to make sure you take care of it, malama it. Because it'll take care of you. So that's what I think balance really means to people in Hawaii, that being the host culture, being a host is also about creating balance.
Sure, absolutely. Now you have a national marine sanctuary in Hawaii, right?
Yes.
Off many of the islands there. Hawaiian Islands Humpback Whale National Marine Sanctuary. So what does the sanctuary mean to Hawaii? Both from a conservation and an economic standpoint?
I think it's, been a great teacher to the world about the importance of the oceans, the importance of these beautiful creatures that are bigger than life, and people get to see them, study them. Imagine families come to Hawaii, learn about whales, and they learn about each other through that process. And it's a memory and an experience that people never ever forget when they see a whale breaching in the sunset. I remember the other day I was driving home on Maui with my son, who was 19 years old. The golf tournament got blown out, the Hyundai. The wind was too strong, so we left early. But then the gift was driving along that highway, seeing everybody pull over to the side. We pulled over and see what was going on. There were whales breaching right off the highway. And it was just so beautiful. And then watching the sunset right there, just see and feel that moment. I can't describe it to you except that it wasn't only what I saw, it's what I felt. And so the Whale Sanctuary has provided a place to educate the world about the beauty of whales and what they mean to Hawaii and the world.
Great. Yeah. So something else you mentioned during your panel was this voyaging canoe, the Hokulea, which, as I understand, is about to embark on this sailing voyage around the world. Can you tell me a little bit about what they hope to accomplish, what the goals are, and where they're going to be going?
They're led by Nainoa Thompson, who's a great navigator who learned from a master navigator named Mao from Micronesia, who taught Hawaiians to remember that skill of navigation. And Nainoa was inspired by his father back in the 1970s during the Hawaiian Renaissance, and it was a tool to have Hawaiians believe in ourselves again, that we can make a difference, we are relevant. And now this voyage around the world is to take this hokulea, this voyaging canoe around the world, to share Hawaii with the world and the world with Hawaii, and to tell the stories of the oceans. And Nainoa talks about how the planet is blue, and if we want to protect the planet, we need to protect the ocean. If we want to protect biodiversity, protect the ocean. If you want to protect the atmosphere, you protect the ocean. And so the ocean brings us all together, it doesn't divide us. And the canoe is going to go for 4.5 years around the world, telling stories to school kids and people with curriculum about the ocean. And so you get to watch it on Google Earth, National Geographic and the Smithsonian will be following it. And our hope is that that canoe will share stories of how important the ocean is to all of us. And if we, I think, take care of the ocean, it'll help to create peace in the world. And that's the real message that the hokulea is going to bring to all of us. So I think it's something that can bring us together as a global community, not just isolated regional communities, because we're all connected by the ocean.
Right, right. And then almost like national marine sanctuaries, hopefully it will link these special places around the world.
So I think Nainoa's goal is to multiply the number of world sanctuaries and national sanctuaries. And by bringing this attention to the ocean, hopefully every one of us as individuals will protect it. We'll be careful about the plastic bags we use and whether we throw them away or whether we just throw them on the side of the road, because one day those end up in the ocean. And so it's not only about somebody doing something to save the planet, it's about each and every one of us doing that. And how do our actions affect the ocean? And whatever we do on land affects the ocean and individually and collectively.
Sure. Great. Well, Mike, thank you so much for being here on Oceans Live. I hope you enjoy the rest of your time at Chow.
Yeah, aloha. And this is a great experience. I hope more people get to come and talk about something that belongs to all of us. The oceans don't have boundaries on them like the land masses do. We have borders, boundaries, countries, and governments. The ocean belongs to everyone. And this is something that I think more and more people need to become aware of and get involved with. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we're trying to do with Oceans Live, is to share the discussions and all the great conversations here at Chow with the rest of the world through the internet. So that's it actually for us today in the Oceans Live studio. But stay tuned for the final session of the afternoon. And be sure to join us tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. for the final day of Oceans Live at Capitol Hill Ocean Week 2013.